can you tell a good Superman story? Let's find out. Okay, so James Gunn Superman arrives in theaters this weekend, thus bringing in the end of the DC Snyderverse and the introduction of James Gunn's DC universe. This is the first film since James Gunn has been overseeing the creative direction that the DC universe will go next. So, naturally, with it brings a new face wearing the red cape and the S logo on his chest, David Corenswet. I want to make it clear that I'm not going to spoil this movie at all, but I did go in knowing nothing about it, and I do think that made my experience with the film even better. Okay, so in this Superman movie, our main hero, Superman, is already established in Metropolis and the world as Superman. People already know who he is. He's been doing this for at least 3 years now, meaning it doesn't spend a lot of time on self-discovery of powers or origin stories or really even protecting identities. It just gets straight to the Superman goodness that we want to see. Even Lois Lane knows Clark Kent's identity and that Superman and Lois are actually at the beginning of their relationship already, which for fans and audience members like myself, I felt a huge sigh of relief that we didn't have to sit through another origin story or 3 films where Lois Lane has no idea that Clark Kent is Superman, or this just gets right into it. There's a lot of world conflict going on outside of the US in this movie that Superman gets involved in early on and is questioned on whether or not Superman should be making decisions all on his own without approval from his country's government. In steps Lex Luthor, who of course has some sort of politicking and maneuvering going on within the US government and these other world conflicts that are going on. But under all that, he wants Superman gone, thus giving us a Superman movie. Okay, that's the basic gist of the plot. Now, for years, I'd always heard things like, it's hard to make a good Superman movie because he's all-powerful. How do you set up stakes properly? I mean, just keep using kryptonite over and over again? It's kind of a tired concept at this point. And it seemed like maybe it was hard to make good Superman stories. Now, obviously, there's been good Superman comic books like All-Star Superman or others that I haven't read. But we know, and audiences know, there haven't been a lot of great Superman movies. It's been a long time since the Christopher Reeve rendition, and really since then there's been a few attempts at the character that I don't feel like they've fully worked. I'd like to point out that I'm not a huge Superman fan. I'm not completely nostalgic for the character like some people are, so that's the perspective I'm coming from. I came into this really with no expectations. But I thought this movie, for not being an origin story, did a phenomenal job of setting up its side characters and getting us very quickly rooted and grounded in who are the people that are around Clark Kent and Superman. And then as it went on, it integrated elements of his backstory, like his parents on Earth, as well as his original parents. But it was all kind of seamless and peppered in at the right time. It didn't just bombard us with all of this through the first half of the movie. It allowed us to get really invested in this character by seeing how Superman acts, how he treats people, what his values are. And then we're informed on those core values as we kind of are introduced to the parents. It's not just being told to us. And I really liked getting to get into Superman's headspace. At the core of it, his greatest strength is love. He cares about humanity. I mean, he's even sweeping up a squirrel and not letting a squirrel die in the middle of an action scene. And they're showing us this, like, as conflict happens, he's so focused on saving characters and humans and other people that are around, pretty much just concerned about any living thing, even a creature that he's fighting early on. To him, it's unethical to kill the creature. It really felt like he was a symbol of integrity, an example of who you want to be. And it really makes him an easy hero to look up to, a very noble, classic, golden era hero in that way, while still making him charming, funny, and likable, and flawed, believe it or not, because flawed heroes are the best kind of heroes. I do want to quickly point out that there are some scenes where he saves different random characters in the city, and we get these really, really beautiful images of Superman in like this kind of Messiah-like viewpoint. I also felt this movie did a great job of making Superman not feel invincible. The situations that they put him in this storyline were so creative creative that it constantly made me feel like there were stakes and weight and that Superman could fail at any turn. And all of the side characters in this movie, from the smallest of little bit characters to Lois Lane, they all are used so efficiently. Like every single character that appears in this film is memorable and has a personality. It has something to do in the plot. I was very impressed by James Gunn's writing and direction of the film because it's very hard to introduce as many side characters as this movie has and make us feel like we get enough quality time with them or feel like they have a purpose. They're not just kind of hovering characters that are being dragged along for the story. And plot points that are set up early on come full circle and they give you those aha moments, but they all felt so organic and genuinely set up through these side characters. From the side characters or Superman himself or just something going on in the background while another scene is happening, this movie is continuously hilarious. And it never has that self-referential or meta style of humor that sometimes comes with a Marvel movie, because the characters themselves naturally brought upon moments of humor within the story, but it always felt sincere. Now, there was a leaked review that came out before the review embargo lifted on this movie that criticized this movie for lacking any emotional or human connection points. I thought that was really interesting because I found this to be a very emotional film. It doesn't take a bunch of dramatic long shots of characters staring intently at each other with dramatic music playing in the background to provide drama. In actuality, when you have characters with all of these quirks and isms and natural vulnerabilities, that creates an endless playbook of opportunity to play with emotions from a storytelling perspective, because we are now dealing with what feels like real people. All of the parts that make us human. Like, just because the movie is funny and making jokes does not make it a non-emotional movie. I was more emotionally invested in this than I have been in a superhero movie in years. This film really made me grow to respect James Gunn on a whole new level. Every creative decision in this film felt earned. You could pay attention to this living, breathing world that James Gunn crafted with Metropolis. It's very, very well done. And this is coming from someone who is completely burnt out on superhero films, like maybe many of you are, and I think a lot of people are feeling that way. This movie, though, it was something special. I truly loved it, honestly. There's probably some criticisms that will come up, but there's no point in me focusing on them because the movie worked in every possible facet that I would have wanted it to. I had a smile on my face the whole time. And I saw it with my parents, which was a great choice. There's a lot about parent-child relationships here that actually made it extra connective for me. Oh, and I did not expect a Noah in the Well needle drop, but if you're a fan of Noah in the Well, there's a whole musical action sequence to their song 5 Years Time. And I also made a video on this channel about a rock band that I really love called Foxy Shazam. Well, Foxy Shazam, the lead singer Eric Nally, makes a couple of cameo appearances in this movie, but you'd have to have a keen eye to pick up on. But he and Foxy Shazam, the band, actually double as a band in this film called the Mighty Crabjoys, which I thought was such a cool nod to a band that I really love. But, you know, James Gunn has always had a huge musical influence in his films, and I heard for this movie, every single character, he ended up making a playlist for each character of like what kind of music that they would listen to. I love that kind of stuff because I'm a huge fan of music. I love when modern music can be used with film in such a symbiotic way that works like it does in James Gunn's films. Okay, if you didn't guess already, I loved Superman. I'm giving this 93 crypto dogs out of 100 crypto dogs. Yeah, that's a lot of dogs. And don't count the numbers on here because I don't think I put 100. I just threw a shit ton of dogs up there. So yes, you can make a good Superman movie. All right, let me know what you guys thought of Superman in the comments below. Was it everything you hoped, dreamed, wanted it to be? You tell me. I would love to know if you were disappointed by it or if you have any criticisms. Let me know what those were in the comments below because I'm curious to know. I haven't seen or looked up anyone's reviews yet. Aside from that review that came out before the movie, and maybe that helped set expectations a little lower. I don't know. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all. Click like, click subscribe, hit the video over here, and watch another thing on this channel. Why don't you?